sector leverage technology for agriculture transformation. And to just summarize and setting the context, an average Kenyan farmer is about 60-year-old, I'm told, and an average Kenyan is about 18-year-old. So there's a massive intergeneration crisis already hitting us. And we know the extension services are already challenged, the public sector extension. FAO recommends that for every 400 farmers, we need to have one extension officer. The reality is upwards of 3,000 to 4,000 across the country. Now, a farmer is challenged to get access to advisory, access to inputs, and most importantly, 40 to 50% of the produce that she's getting, she's already losing for after the food post-harvest losses. Now, that's the point of view of a farmer. Now, let's look from the point of view of a government. We currently work with 30 plus county governments, and what we are seeing consistently is there is a lack of information or a data-driven decision making. Now, yes, there are very good policies, but the information is not reaching the last mile. Now, if you see the point of view of research and academia, it's the same conversation that we all heard this morning. Now, there's a lot of research and advisory content out there, but it's not reaching the last mile. And most importantly, the AgTech, that's agriculture technologies, and there's so many innovations happening. But the challenge there is they are all point solutions, and the cost of reaching a farmer and serving them is super high. So they are not able to scale, and you all heard in the news, a lot of AgTechs have also shut down, went belly up. The reason being they are not able to sustain. That's the context in which we are living today. Now, the development programs and the NGO-led programs are fantastic, but they start and end on a calendar, and there is no sustainability beyond the life of the project. Now, what we have done is we started looking at what is available in abundance in our country. And what stood out is youth. Now, we started reimagining, saying that what if we are able to engage the rural youth, give them the skills, equip them with a set of digital tools so that they are able to go and offer a combination of extension services and also become a private sector service providers to all of the services that are needed. That's really the birth of an agripreneur model, agriculture entrepreneurs. Knowingly that they are not ready, we launched something called REDI, R-E-D-I, Rural Entrepreneur Development Incubators. I see a lot of our partners here, WFP, Cereal Growers Association, Farm to Market Alliance, FAO. So we've been working with a lot of UN organizations, development partners, trying to deliberately create this cadre of youth agripreneurs and seeing that they are working with a set of 15 to 20 groups of farmers and providing extension. Now, here is where we saw there is a lot of advisory content, but for the content to be able to be reaching the farmers, we had to again reimagine. So this is where we started producing bite-sized video content. And by the way, we produced over 10,000 videos in 10 languages on 42 different value chains. That's the content that is going in the backpack of these young agripreneurs. Now, what's important is we are actually giving a choice to these young people to do what they want to do. Some of them are kind of becoming agri-input service providers, some of them are doing aggregation, some of them are doing livestock-based services. The portfolio is growing, and most importantly, that's how their agency is built at the last mile with a lot of dignity. Now, a few interesting trends that we observed in the digital world. One is, thanks to COVID, all the citizens are becoming netizens, have already become netizens. An average attention span pre-COVID was about 19 minutes. It's now come down to 3 minutes, going to 15 seconds. That's why you see the TikTok videos are becoming so popular. Now that's our customer, including the mama farmers, all of them, their attention span is very low. The second thing is, why do we call it last mile? We say last mile services. That's actually the first mile. That's where really the farmers are. We are all in the business because of them. And most importantly, learning has become contextual. A mama farmer is interested in knowing about how to treat a pest or a disease in the moment when there's a pest attack. You can educate her till the cows come home, but most important is the intervention has to be timely. And this is where a lot of these digital technologies with a human touch is where the transformation is already started happening. And most importantly, a lot of donors that we speak to keep saying, oh, we can put some money. I don't think it is the money problem. We just can't throw money at this because the industry and the agriculture and the food sector is complex. Now, having said that, what we learned is when these farmers are adopting new technologies, they're doing old things in a new way. Let me give an example. The mama farmer, when she starts understanding that there is something called soil testing, and once the soil testing is done, then she knows whether it makes sense to grow maize on that land or she could actually diversify and do horticulture. Most importantly, when farmers internalize technology, they are doing old things in a new way. The same mama farmer, once she understands that now there is a scientific way in which she can get climate advisory at her fingertips, she is now able to get climate advisory, she is now able to get access to inputs and others. Now she is transitioning into doing from single crop to multiple crops, and so many other things are happening. And that transition is happening already. As KUSA, we've been working with two of the national programs. One is a NARIC program and also the KSAP, where we worked with over 26 counties. And when an independent evaluation that was done, it was actually quite heartening to hear. With over 70% of the farmers being women, their productivity levels over 2 crop seasons are increased by more than 30%. And the income levels are almost doubling in about 2 to 3 seasons. And the unintended consequence, which we did not even think of, is their household debt levels are going down by 70 to 80%, and their overall quality of life is improving by more than 70%. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg. In a way, I think the core thing that we learned in the industry is there are a lot of digital technologies. It's not about just the digital technologies. We need a warm body or a human touch at the last mile. Now, having said that, continuation to Vimal Shah's thing, like where he has given a four-pronged approach, I think we have an opportunity here to bring private sector to this conversation. And the good news in Kenya is already the new extension policy, most of you would have seen, it now says pluralistic extension. That is not only the public sector, but even the private sector and civil society can offer extension, which already is a great leadership as a country. Number two, as some of you would be aware, late last year, a farmer registry was done in the country. You know, interestingly, 15,000 young agripreneurs were engaged to do the registry. So we have 6.45 million farmers already profiled, and this data set is already sitting in Karlo Big Data Platform. Now, what does it mean? There is an opportunity for private sector now to start looking into it and then start saying, how can we now reach these farmers? And this is where, again, a new initiative in Kenya that has happened called the Youth Agripreneur Program has now been announced by our President, His Excellency, on the Madaraka Day. And the strategy is to have, the last estimate I heard is 20,000 youth agripreneurs across the country, 46 counties, minus Nairobi, with at least 10 to 15 youth agripreneurs per ward, and that's the architecture that's coming now. They are all equipped with digital tools, and interestingly, we are working on an initiative called Kenya One Network. The purpose of the One Network is to crowd in all the actors, private sector, civil society, development partners, and most importantly, research academia, to get their products and solutions out there, and using the last mile delivery channel of youth agripreneurs, we will now be able to reach and transform the sector. The third pillar that is needed is to get a good governance. Now, this is an area where I think the leadership that we have in this room, and also bringing in all the actors, there is a need to create a multi-sector governing board to see that we not only have the buy-in from the government, but can the private sector and civil society put up their hand and then see how we can transition this. It's exciting. There are more than 100 plus AgTechs in the country right now, but most importantly, it is not the technology, it is a combination of people plus platform that can transform. And most importantly, we as a country can feed ourselves, we can feed the rest of the world, create jobs, and have youth at the front and center and transform the sector. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you so much, Siram, for that. And what an opportunity. I think we can follow up with you on more details on how you're planning. And that's very good chance to also to know you and to know what you're doing. I would like now to request Madam Gaitho Waithera to go down to the panel, to the plenary. But as she does this, Professor, if you've seen the program, you see Professor Richard was supposed to make a presentation, but now he has confirmed something. That what Linda, the group on climate change, the serious on face of climate change, he confirms that most of the things he would have presented were more or less covered. And therefore, he will just say hi. He's in the house as Waithera and the team is settling down, and say hi and make a statement regarding that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Yeah, I really got humbled as I was seated here, listening to the panel make actually my own presentation. So what I did, I would enhance it because I was able to take notes. But by the way, matters agroecology, this is a hot topic. I had made 30 slides, and my supervisor who was here, he told me that if you have 15 minutes, you are supposed to have 7 slides. So I was really scared, but there's a verse which in most cases is used that all things works together for the good. So actually it has manifested this afternoon, and I'm very grateful. So I have the PowerPoint presentation. I could particularly encourage that it be shared with the panelists. And I don't know how to get their contacts, because I would like to engage with them further, to learn from them and also to share a few things with them. Thank you very much. Where has he gone? I want to hand over the microphone. Where has he gone? It's okay. That is what I wanted to say.
No problem. So now the team is ready. Waithera, where is your army? Where is your team?
I'm looking for them too. That was my way of testing the mic. Good afternoon, everybody. Warm welcome to everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed your lunch, but please don't sleep on us. Stay awake, yeah? So, they are coming. So as they come, I'd just like to give some context to our conversation today. This panel is looking at the state of play, or rather attracting youth. Why are the youth not attracted to agriculture? So, just to give some context and in numbers, for many years I have stated that every generation has an assignment, and that assignment usually poses as a challenge to that generation. In this generation of Kenyans and young Africans, it is unemployment. Just to give some numbers of the ocean of opportunity that young people are swimming in terms of whether it's the youth bulge, demographics, or even economic opportunities. Africa has 420 million youth. Kenya is home to 13.7 and more youth, with 1 million joining the labor market annually. Almost 1 billion youth, that is 540 million, are aged under 14, and you've got 450 million aged between 15 and 34. You've got 18 to 34 being over 800 million. This is in Africa. And by 2035, there will be more young Africans entering the labor force every year than the rest of the world combined. As we speak, according to the World Economic Forum, Africa has its most educated and globally exposed youth that the continent has ever had. By 2050, 1 out of every 4 human beings will be Africans. So when you count 4, 1 of them is African. And Africa is already accepted, and it's been proven that it has got the fastest youth growing population globally. In fact, it is said that it has the potential to drive global growth in the same way China's young workers once powered the global economy. When we come to Kenya, those 13.7 million, when you look at most of those who are unemployed, they are necessity entrepreneurs in the micro and small enterprise space. And most of them, 83% of that space is micro entrepreneurs. According to a study by the Aga Khan, 48% of youth that they interviewed were willing to go into business. You remember be your own boss? They prefer to be their own boss. And 11% of them had an interest in farming. Now, interestingly, the average age of a farmer is around 60. And the average age of a cooperative member right now is between 60 and 70. What happens in the next 10 to 15 years? When we look at the opportunities in the agricultural sector in Kenya, 51% of the GDP, or about, is in the agricultural sector. Most of the country's exports account for, or rather are from the agricultural sector, and they account for about 65%. These are kind of old statistics. I'm sure some of you have got the latest. As you know, they're not that easy for some of us to get, yeah? And when we look at value addition, only 16% of Kenya's agricultural export is processed, compared to 57% for imports. 91% of agricultural exports are in raw or semi-processed form, which means the country forgoes significant impact by not adding value, or rather income by not adding value to its products, not to mention the number of jobs we export. When we look at the CFTA, we are now looking at blurring the borders of the African continent. This generation is blossoming in countries and continents that are an ocean of opportunity, because every African country has a comparative advantage when it comes to agriculture. The African market is 1.2 billion people strong, will be 2.5 billion by 2050. The joint GDP, as we speak, is $2.5 trillion. $1 trillion by 2020 and 2.1 trillion by 2025, which is next year. And by 2030, food demand in Africa is expected to treble to 1 trillion. And an additional 2 billion people will need food by 2030. It's also important to note that one of the key objectives of the CFTA is to focus on employment creation for the continent's bulging youth population. Dr. Adesina is known to say that the next generation of billionaires will not be from oil or the gas sector, but they will be from the agricultural sector. So the question is, with all these good numbers, I also forgot to say, if we brought it back home, Nairobi County is a 4 billion shilling per week market for fruits and vegetables. 1.3 billion shillings per week market of beef, excluding sheep, goats, poultry, and fish. And I know these are not even the latest statistics. So what if 25% of this market spending would be serviced by the youth? How many jobs would we create? We are looking at at least a gross income of about 1.3 billion. And if you look at a conservative net income of, say, 5%, you're looking at least a profit margin of about 75 million Kenya shillings per week. So the question is, to everybody and to our panelists, why are youth not attracted to agriculture? We just saw them andamana because of debt. It was a money issue, right? So with all these numbers, all this money, why are they not interested? Is it a business issue? Is it a policy, legislation, regulatory issue? Is it money? Is it machinery? Is it markets? Is it information? Is it skills? What or where is the challenge? And to help us unbundle this issue, we have a very able panel. We have Mr. Steve Njaramba, the founder and executive director of Markfire Farms. We've got Professor Catherine Nkirote, Associate Dean of Faculty of Agriculture at the at the Faculty of Agriculture, College of Agriculture and Veterinary Services at the University of Nairobi. We've got Dr. Kelvin Osore, Chairperson, Kenya Veterinary Association, Mr. Peter Mwangi, Country Focal Point, Forum of Agricultural Advisory Services, Kenya, Mr. Dominic Menjo, he's not yet arrived, but he's the Food Security Advisor, the Presidential Economic Transformation Secretariat, and Mr. Stephanus Kruger, who's the chairman of the Cereals Growers Association. And I am Waithera Gaido, Executive Director of Alternatives Africa, which is the home of Alternatives AgroHub, and I'll be your moderator for this panel. So, Mr. Jaramba, why are youth not attracted? Speak on their behalf. Why aren't you attracted to these numbers?
Good afternoon, everyone. The perception is that the youth do not want to engage in agriculture. It's a perception. And I repeat, it's a perception. If you look some years back, the people who used to attend such summits, agricultural summits, were a little bit older, maybe this gentleman's age and above. Right now here, you can even count or look at the faces. Half the population is young adults. I don't like using the word youth. Half of the population here is young adults, meaning one, there is a disconnect from the word go on information, on agribusiness. The only information we ever get is agriculture, the culture, the normal way. Enda upande mahindi kutoka hapa mpaka kwa ile mto. These are the section tuachie boga. Chaganya garden peas, waru, and beans. That is the culture of growing food. But that one we have since we were kids. We know how to do it in that old fashion. But do we have people who literally volunteer or even in the various sectors, public, private, to disseminate agribusiness information? Because agribusiness is supposed to put money in your pocket. So one is a perception that the young people do not want to engage in agriculture. Second is factors of production. You may have all the knowledge, but do you have the requisite factors of production at your disposal with ease and at cheaper terms that you'll afford? If, for example, a young person right now presents a proposal to any financier, either angel investor, venture capitalist, bank, microfinance, or circle, the first question that person will ask you, without even understanding the proposal, do you have the collateral? Now, surely, are you not chasing the same person you want to entice into the agribusiness? Secondly, do you have the capacity or know-how? Those two questions always frustrate the young people seeking for these requisite factors. And since yesterday, I would suggest the first panel that should have sat here is the agribusiness financing institutions. Because when you solve that end, because people already have knowledge, to be honest, when you solve that end, you solve everything. We had a gentleman yesterday who was saying he has an app, but he needs to scale up. He doesn't have the funding. So it means that person already has knowledge, has the technical capability, knows where to assist in the agribusiness value chain, but there's no financial facilitation. So we should be able to scale down and have purposeful information of why young people are shying away from agribusiness. And agribusiness is not about going to dig in a farm. One person may be willing to do coffee roasting on a small scale. Then you brew and sell. The same way we have people who sell tea on vibadas or on our streets. It's part of agribusiness, but we ignore. But the products that made that tea are all agriculture. So they will be assisting the people doing primary production at the farm by getting those products and selling. Can we be able to do value addition on the simplest ways so that we can be able to entice even more use? But factors of production must be checked and must be provided with ease and at cheaper terms.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jaramba. And I think that takes us to you, Professor Catherine, because he's made it very clear. I think one thing that we need to understand about this generation of young people is they don't want theory. Ni kusema na kutenda. They want to see the facts. Show me the business case. Does it make business sense? Let's go. So one of the things he has spoken about is basically the development of the nodes of the value chain. And as he has mentioned, the big issue here, and even the numbers I gave, is value addition. Why are we not focusing on value addition as much as we focus on production?
First of all, I want to thank him. He has brought up very key issues. It's about perceptions. I wouldn't say the youth are not into agriculture, because the universities, and now I want to speak as a professor in the university first, and then maybe as a farmer. You'll notice something. You mentioned when you look at this room, there are not so many gray-haired professors. Right now, even the people training these youth are youthful also. So we are teaching them by even ourselves doing what is supposed to be done. So, and we no longer teach them about farming or those things you're saying. We have newer technologies in agriculture, digital transformations in agriculture, new innovations in agriculture, and some of them actually are by the youth. And this is what they are picking up and actually commercializing. So the curriculums that we have right now in the university and what was there before, maybe when we were in the university, are totally different. It starts with the curriculum. Our universities, and I want to speak for my case, our curriculum are aligned to the current demand. They are how to make money from agriculture. Not just that you've joined BSc in agriculture, no. But what do you get out of it at the end of the day? So we start with the curriculum. We've reviewed our curriculums. We are teaching our students to make money, and that's why you're bringing in the word agribusiness. When I was in college, we didn't have agribusiness. That is there now. Now, you talked about value addition. It is there, it is being done. And I was telling someone over lunch, technologies are there, innovations are there, different equipment for value additions are there. But as he said, who is supporting, who is investing in the youth? I have a good idea for a product. I have an innovation, I've patented, I already have a patent, but how do I get the money to do a startup? So what are we doing as a university? I'll give a case of the Faculty of Agriculture. We've tried to partner with the private sector because every year we produce students in agriculture with innovations. Go to the food science. There's a new product every day. They graduate. Go to agricultural economics, agribusiness. There's a digital app out there, but it ends up going nowhere because they don't have the money. I know I don't want to speak about the government and that there is that youth fund or whatever, but in reality, we don't have people to support these youth to take that up, to take that product to the next level. And that's why I think in the other forum I was talking about university, industry, private sector linkages. These are the people who can hold hands of the youth, and also the government can invest. The other one are the private investors. We have a program, for example, we're calling Food Advice Accelerator Program, where we accelerate the ideas, we incubate the ideas, but we go further and link them to investors. Because once they leave the university, then that idea is lost. They'll just go and say, now let me go back to digging what you're describing as the usual agriculture. But with these innovations coming up, I am saying, these innovations, let them not go to waste. We bring them out, let people invest, and they are there. But we need to have a platform on how we can bring the best innovations. How do we link these people to investors? How do we get them funding or partner with an industry that can scale up or commercialize this idea? But not to kill your dream or something, there are youth who have done it. I can tell you, those who follow me on social media, we've trained students in the faculty, in the university, who've actually had startups, including lawyers who've even come to consult us They are not food scientists, but they are making some product there from banana, from mango. So it's also doable despite the support in terms of investment and funding. Those who are aggressive, I see them out there selling their products, making it big. So it's doable.
I really wish we had a government representative here because, as you can hear, the main issue is money, money, money. And, you know, agriculture is considered high risk by the financial institutions. Youth are considered high risk. So when you add agriculture plus youth is equals high risk squared. Yeah? Absolutely untouchable. However, we have the cooperative movement. Yeah? And that is something that we really need to sell. The other challenge that the government really needs to help us unbundle is that cooperatives are devolved, agriculture is devolved, youth are not devolved. And when youth are not devolved, it means that counties don't get budgets at county level for youth-related activities. And so these are some of the challenges which need to be focused on. Now, looking at the cooperative movement, and I am saying this just in case there's a government officer or a cooperative person who's this, we've been looking at this as alternatives. We have a youth circle called Mimi na Wewe Youth Circle, and I like to ask the youth, if you have 14 million youth in Kenya, and they each remove 1 shilling, let's make this interactive. How much? Let's work with 14 million. How much would we have right now if we banked with KCB? Let's put it in a government bank. No, let's put it in cooperative bank. If they each removed 1 shilling, 14 million youth, how much would we have in the bank right now? 14 million, yeah? Make that 5 shillings. How much would we have? You'd have 70 million. What about 50? 50 bob. 700 million, 50 bob. Okay, now tujifinye kabisa, 100 bob. We are talking of 1.4 billion. 1.4 billion. So now this is to also throw the ball to the court of the youth. The youth also need to get organized. Now, we may not be able to do this at national level, but you can do it at county level. You can do it even at sub-county level. How do you do this? Through the cooperative movement. Because some of these small issues, some of the issues we are dealing with, actually our circle is 9 years old, and we've realized that the average borrowing of most youth is between 2,500 and 30,000. That's what they are looking at. That is what is holding them back. Now you can imagine if you've got your own ecosystem and the economies of scale that come with the cooperative movement. So I don't know whether our Dr. Menjo will be coming, but these are some of the realities because we can't keep on. I believe that funding is meant to be a seed, not a fruit. You cannot keep on depending. Are you going to develop products? Or are you going to be writing proposals all the time? We need to decide on value. But one of the challenges, again, we have is on data. Yeah, and I'll throw this to Kelvin. Yes, we don't have money, but you know, even when you go to a bank, if you don't have your data right, if you don't have your statistics right, and one of for example, the statistics I gave on Nairobi, I don't even know what the latest are. When it comes, for example, to veterinary, which is livestock, and I mean, that's beef, that's goat, that is huge consumption. Is there a repository for this data? Where can people get this data? And if you could also answer, and I'll come back to you, Prof, where do we get data? Yeah? For the cereals, where do we get data? Where can youth get this data to be able to develop convincing documents and concept notes? Kelvin, Dr. Kelvin.
Thank you, Waithera. I think probably that's one of the questions that hopefully has been answered in one of the presentations here. I missed the first day. The utilization and even just collating of data for agriculture, I think that is an area where we failed as a country. So there's data. To answer your question simply, there is data. But is that data helpful? Because you'll go to the ministry, for example, right now, you'll get data, let's say, on poultry consumption. I mean, on poultry, how many people are keeping chicken in Kenya, but that data most of the time is not updated. You'll get data that belongs to the census that took place 10 years ago. And most of the time, the data is not really alive. So I will say that we need to do more on that front, because again, as a business without data, there's not much you can do. Right now, everybody's running towards utilization of data to drive their businesses. But then again, the question of data goes straight to the core of how we value agriculture as a business. And Prof and Stephen have talked about that. A lot of our farmers are not really taking agriculture as a business. As Stephen said, they grow maize, and when you go, I'm a poultry vet, so I'm more biased towards poultry. You'll find a poultry farmer who has layers, but has no idea whether he or she is actually making money from those layers. So you ask the poultry farmer, how many eggs are you producing? I'm producing 30 trays, for example. Do you have records to back up, to show whether you're actually making profits or that the chicken are actually eating money from you? So at the basis, we need to ensure that our farmers actually conceptualize the fact that agriculture is a business like any other business. Ensure you keep accurate records. Then after that, the government and other stakeholders need to invest more into tapping into the data that we have. Right now, if you ask, for example, how much chicken is consumed by Kenyans, you'll be told a figure that was probably arrived at during the last census. The most accurate figure I think you'll get will be from FAO, for example. But again, it's not very accurate compared to the other peers in Africa. But then again, even the small data that we have will show that we are doing so badly. So yeah, I agree that as partners and even as farmers, we need to come up with mechanisms to collect data, but then again, utilize that data to drive agribusiness. Thank you.
Kruger, what does data look like for you in the Cereals Association?
For us, the CGA data is important. We have a full team collecting data all the time. But the speakers are correct. I think the problem in Kenya so far is we're relying too much on foreign data for our existence. For example, most of the agricultural data that we collect is actually from USAID. It's wrong. And we should be actually in a position, if the county governments do their part, the government does their part. We had the system in place. We had all the staff, in the field officers everywhere. And that's sort of fallen by the wayside. But yes, I agree, the youth it's a starting point. Collect the data. Everybody has a smartphone these days. It's not difficult to collect the data. I mean, yeah, for example, the data that we work on is actually foreign data, which is, like I said, it's wrong. The thing is, what we've done, I feel that we've done wrong here, is we've actually tackled the problem in the wrong direction. The youth, for the longest time, if you didn't do well at school, you go to the shamba. And it's only sort of in small areas where youth have been pushed to actually work on their skills. It doesn't have to be, what we forget in agriculture, it's not about just going with a djembe and limbering your shamba. There's more to it. In any agricultural little enterprise, you will need electrical skills, you will need plumbing skills, you'll need soil science needs. There is so much in farming that it's not just like an electrician that does one job. You know, in pharma, you have to be a jack of all trades. You have to be able to do everything to make it a business. You know, you've got to know something. You've got to know how to pour cement. How many people do that? And that's where I think we've actually pushed. We have a program on the farm where we actually look at a guy, and you can quickly, and I have a simple method. I give a guy as walks in and I give him a spanner. He's judged by the way he grabs hold of the spanner. And you can say, okay, this is a technical guy. There's no point taking him to the shamba. He's got technical ability. And it's little things like that which I think we should all be, you know, finding out what is right for that person, because not everybody's a farmer. Not everybody wants to toil in the dust and the rain. You know, but in agriculture, there are so many other fields that you could actually be strong in. And I think that's where we should be looking at is, what is your skill?
Well, and actually that takes us to Mr. Peter, because of extension services. Yeah, apart from farming, there are so many other auxiliary services. And even as you answer that, we'd also like to know the state of data when it comes to extension services.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that one is a very interesting area because there is some effort which has been made by the government, particularly to capture data from the last census. And this one was in relation to biannual review, which we are really part of the CADAP process. And what we had realized before 2019, we had a very big data gap. And out of that, during census, there were some efforts which were made so that we could be able to get specific data at the household level. I'm sure those people who were really part of the census can be able to remember that it was quite comprehensive. So we have been able to get quite some data which could be useful, and then we can be able to use projections to know where we are. So at least there is an effort which is being done towards direction. It may not be 100%, but there is that. Secondly, we have been able also to register farmers. You know the process which was said that we have been registering farmers. We registered 6.4 million farmers. So at least there is some form of data which we can say it's now more Kenya-born, or it's aligned within the Kenya. However, within the youths in agriculture, like in the Forum for Agriculture Advisory Services, we are working with the youths. We are calling them digital connectors for farming communities, and they are working in the space of digital technology, where we have been able to train them on agripreneurship, which was really a gap. And we have been working with an organization in Netherlands called AgriConnectors, which has been training them on how they can be able to package businesses. And they have been able to initiate businesses. And in the process, they are also offering extension services to the farmers through the digital technology. And it has proved very useful. And we have a tracking tool where you can see they are reaching very, very many farmers by the services they are offering. And in the process, they are also able to make their own money. So that one is a very good model which we are working on. And I think it needs to be looked at for scaling up, but that one is a very useful model we are using for extension.
Thank you very much. You know, when you look at the economic reviews, the quarterly economic reviews, you usually see that when they're speaking about revenue collection in terms of which livestock and farmers are usually left out. Yet they contribute the largest to the GDP. And it's because of the challenge of it being looked at as agriculture and not agribusiness. And so that we don't look like we are just complaining and talking about problems, yeah? In your areas of expertise, what would you say is the greatest challenge? And this will be our last question because we've got only 15 minutes. And I'm trying to get the badge of timekeeping today, yeah? So what would you say is the greatest challenge we have? In value addition, we all have money challenges. I think we've established that. But we also have in value addition like machinery issues. Yeah, we also have markets, guaranteed markets. I can't tell you how many value chains I've had. There are good markets for, say, like poultry, but we can't meet the volumes. The same in beef and all that. I even heard about rabbits. And there are so many things that it's not that we can't do it, but our aggregation system doesn't allow us to be able to meet those markets. What are some of the challenges in your areas that
Someone went to school, you don't have a job, or you got a job, a contract, then it ended. You just decide to enter into a phase of agribusiness without the know-how. Not just the technical, because technical is a little bit advanced, but without the know-how. The other challenge, even for those who have gone to school, passed through Prof here in the College of Agriculture, Food Science and Technology, you still find you have, even if you come out with a product, there are so many government verifications that you need to go through before your product is accepted. They have done at Kabete. They have come up with a cold chain for these vegetables. Very simple things. We don't have to build these warehouses and cold storage. Very simple. Create cold storage for each and every crop or livestock product that is produced in this country within the world. The way he has said that they are training youths as a value chain actors in terms of information dissemination. Train others on cold storage so that we can have a broad spectrum across board. The other solution is if the government wants to make policies on agriculture, because for them they have not moved from agriculture, they're still at agriculture. Whom do they consult? I was arguing with some people yesterday. Our National Assembly, Senate, and County Assemblies, we don't need lawyers. Reason? The Parliamentary Service Commission has got the technical ability in terms of lawyers as professions. So we require other disciplines, elected disciplines, such that when they give their ideas to the technical team, they will be guided accordingly, not to make laws that will go against the Constitution or statutes that we have. Why do I say that? A member of the County Assembly, ule mtu wetu pale, the local ward representative, he knows the issues of that ward. Is it roads? Is it agriculture? Is it water for irrigation? Is it health? Is it the polytechnics? Is it the early childhood education? So when you give them the ideas, they already identify themselves with that locality. So when they go to present these ideas as draft regulations, they will just be guided by the technical team. Secondly, I hear people complaining about public participation. How many people send those to those emails? You don't have to attend physically. How many send? So we are also part of a problem, of a bigger problem, but we also need to change our mentality. Someone here on another panel said we need to change our mentality. The other issue is programs that are made for the youth. The ideas, those ideas and those programs have not been advanced by the young people or the youth. So it is someone sitting somewhere, deciding with the World Bank, IMF, IFC, and other donors that this is what we are going to take to them. The same way you have said, we are using the wrong data to solve a problem that we have. We need to come from the grassroots up. What is the challenge from where I come with our agriculture that is not attracting the youth? I'll say it is irrigation. Because, for example, where I come from, we don't have irrigation water. But we have a major river trunking billions of liters to Indian Ocean. In the Indian Ocean, we don't have a farm. But when I go to farm with that water, I'm being told by Water Regulatory Authority, I can't use because downstream, they will lack water. Downstream, Tana River, you find there, they're having issues with floods, then after 2 months, drought. So we must also sit down and agree. There are very basic things that we also need to do. Can we form the same like our parents do? We must look at all those scenarios like our parents do. We must look at all those scenarios. The last one, please. When we get, the last one, please. When we get donor funding in this country, what do we usually do? We release new vehicles for this new program. But the other vehicles that have been used by a certain program, and it is only a month added. Then we look for places to go for these meetings. Instead of you going to the grassroots for that meeting, you go to some, by the time you are writing those reports, it's already 6-7 months down the line. Then the kind of report you write, for heaven's sake, if you give me a report of 500 pages and above, I won't read. And I know I'm speaking for so many people. Why don't you summarize that in 5 pages? In point form, PowerPoint form. I'll be able to synthesize that information very much. Last, if Prof, your institution has come up with a cold storage like the one that you built recently, a very nice cold storage, simple and to the point. How many people know of such cold storages? And I don't have a buyer immediate. How accessible is the facility? And what are the charges? Because if we also use those systems, the warehouse systems, we shall also save so many people the agony of losing money, and because that is where the youth also have a challenge. The retro they are given by their parents or where they get it, if they lose that money at that particular time, utasikia kianza kuambiwa wewe hujui biashara. But it is because of the several challenges within those value chains. Thank you.
So thank you. I think I'll pick up from where you stopped. I think you've highlighted the nightmares of a professor like me, as you're saying. There are many ways of looking at this. And let me start by saying, in terms of agriculture and also agro-processing, what we are talking about, we have a bigger challenge in Kenya and generally in Africa. We are talking, I want you to picture a smallholder farmer, not a large-scale farmer. So when you're talking about technology and innovation, you're talking something that might fit that local context of a smallholder farmer, maybe producing a few bags of maize or this. So sometimes for us, researchers developing that technology is also a challenge. But as he said, we have, for some cases, technologies are available. I wouldn't say Kenya, we don't have technologies. No, just like people are saying data is not available. I would put it, data is available, but sometimes not shared. And I can speak of the University of Nairobi. We have too much data on agriculture, any subject. But people are aware where they can get this data. Do they use it when they get it? And this happens also for the private sector. We also do research and consulting for private sector. They come, you analyze your soil, you analyze your samples, you go. Do you share that data? The same with government. So for me, it's more about data sharing. We need a platform where we can collect all this data, combine it the way FAO does. If you read a report, you can see data for the whole country, for different sector, agriculture, health. We need someone who can do that. And I don't want to mention government, I just said someone needs to do that. Now, technology also, let me come back to technology. In some cases, most of the cases, the technology is there, but the adoption level is low by farmers, again, because of availability, affordability, and also access. Maybe they are not aware that what you are calling our cold stores are available, or they cannot afford it. And also, that brings me back to also, is it coupled with training and capacity building? We get a lot of technologies coming to Kenya, but who trains farmers? This is how you need to use this cold store. If you keep for this long, or if you put your tomatoes at very low temperature, they'll get chilling injuries, so you lose more. So we need to combine the access to technology with capacity building and training, which I'm sure the university graduates that we are training already have that information, but we need them now to take it back to the end user. Now I'll go to innovations. And before I go to that, the
I'm
technology...
sorry to rush you. Maybe
Yes.
if you could wind up, because you can see I've already been given, I have already
Oh, you
failed.
got it. Sorry,
I've
maybe
already
get a
failed.
yellow card. The other one is the enabling environment. Most of the times in Africa and Kenya in generally, we don't have enabling environment. That's why you see we produce cassava, maize, then we export the raw material, but we end up by importing the final product because we are not doing value addition. Yet we are our farmers toil to produce that cassava, and then you buy the starch at a very high prices. Right now, Kenya, because I saw you are big on statistics, I would say 80% we are eating imports. If you go to Carrefour or any supermarket, you're actually eating something from Israel, which is a desert, and we are taking some universities, agriculture students to see how a desert is doing agriculture, yet we have enough rainfall, leave alone even irrigation. So we are consuming mostly things from outside, yet you are growing the raw materials that you can value add and actually create employment and also feed the country. So we are in a bad situation. So what is the solution for me? Simply, we need to learn the power of innovations. Countries that have gone ahead, Singapore was almost at the same level of Kenya the other day. Now they are one of the richest countries. So our youth, as much as they are complaining, they're also not innovating. And those who are innovating, you can already see the power of innovation. You might not have the money to buy an agricultural machinery or equipment from John Deere or from these top agricultural companies, but through, I see Juakali, the youth have vamiared Juakali. You can make a small machine to do this, to roast. You don't have to go to the supermarket. Why can't youth innovate such agricultural equipment? So the solutions are there. We just need to provide enabling environment and also give financial access to the youth. Right now, it's, I think, below even 10%. And especially for women, I had to bring gender. You can see already this panel, I'm the only woman. The same happens even with youth and elsewhere. Women, when you talk about poultry, pig, and generally agriculture, women are heavily involved, but when it comes to financial access so that they can do their value addition, they don't get access. So, and these are the people who are supposed to feed the nation. So there are so many challenges, but I'll let the rest add. Thank you.
I will, if you don't mind, because of time, if we could, everybody, like 5 minutes, we say our key, and just a question, food for thought. If the university could even monetize the data so that if someone goes to that repository, they pay something, we have no problem.
No, it's free, actually. We have repositories and data. University, we don't charge for anything, even technologies. We go train farmers. Those who follow me, they are training farmers for free. Of course, an NGO has taken you through a project to facilitate you, which we need more. But once you are there, the technology we give them, the information is free. So our data, once we publish or we post a report, it's free access. That's why we put it on our website. So you are free, and right now the university, through our data reforms, most of our data is online. Everything is there, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'll very quickly say one of the key things we require is harmonization of policy for the youths, because what the agripreneur has said is that before you put this product on the table, it is so expensive and you are a starter. You cannot be able to do much. So we really require to have those mechanisms to entice youth such that the starters could possibly be given some exemptions so that they can be able to innovate. The other issue is that challenges of ICT. I'm sure there is some efforts to put ICT hubs, I think, in every ward. I hope it will be realized. But once we get that, then possibly the youth would be able to pick up on that. And the last one is the issue of ATVET, Agriculture, Technology and Vocational Education, whereby we have very small packaged trainings which the youths can be able to go. They get the skills, they become employable, or they can be employed, and that one will be able to assist them. And we need really to really popularize those ones among the youths. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we as seniors are actually to blame. The issue, I believe, is we always have looked down on the Kijanas. When Kijana, you know, you're not ready, which is wrong. I was privileged to be handed over in duress to take over from my father. So I was thrown in the deep end. But I believe if we spend more time working with the the youth to try and make agribusiness attractive again. You know, we hear people say all the time, oh, you got to make agriculture sexy again, blah, blah, blah. What have we achieved of it? Nothing. It's because we actually don't actually try and push the young folk to actually do something. Find out what is your strong point. And I believe we have to start involving them on everything. And one correction I will say, the internet is incredible. If you want a solution on something today, it takes a couple of minutes. You will find it. And especially the big organizations. You mentioned John Deere. You can fix any John Deere machine on the internet. And I believe it's just showing him and actually saying to him, okay, that's your project. That's your task. Back to like we're at school. We're at school every day of our lives. So what's the difference for the youth? Give them an opportunity. They've seen degradation of our environment. And I will say something, food for thought today. I think we all have access to Google. And I don't know if any of us, of how many people have actually access to old maps. If you look at a Google map today, you will actually have a heart attack. We talk about flooding all the time. It's on everybody's voice every single day. But if you look in the last 30 years or so, the percentage of land that has now got concrete on it, where does the water go to? I'm going to end there because it's going to take time. But we are our worst enemies. We are to blame because we've turned soak areas, wetlands, we've put buildings on them. Where does that water go to? So it rushes to the Indian Ocean. We see no benefit from it. Our underground water will run out because we're not helping it. And it's actually us as Kenyans today that have to take the task upon us for our future.
Thank you. I'll try to be a bit quick. So the main point from our end as a Kenya Veterinary Association is capacity building of the farmers. And the capacity building is both technical and entrepreneurial. A lot of us grow up without much financial literacy training. And so that then affects even our businesses and the decisions we make. So we need, as stakeholders, to ensure that these farmers are, one, given the technical know-how on how to raise the crops or the livestock, but also given the entrepreneurial training on how to manage the business for it to be sustainable. And I will say this because I think I come from the livestock subsector, and if well managed, that subsector has the power to power this economy. At the moment, the meat we eat, most of it is not even from the country. We are not even able to sustain our own meat demands here. Additionally, at the moment, we can't even export our own meat to those niche markets that other countries are able to export. And it's because of the failures in technical, the value, not ensuring there's quality assurance along the value chain, for example, and also not ensuring that we have enough, let's say, extension officers to advise farmers on what they need to do in terms of biosecurity and food safety and so on. So the government, of course, needs to employ more staff. As KV, of course, will say that because we want our vets to be employed. But it's true, we need to employ more staff. The Nairobi County at the moment, for example, has 2 vets managing the whole county. So you can imagine if you have 2 vets, one is retiring this year, managing the whole county, and the number of farmers in the county, it is not enough at all. If we want the agriculture sector to actually power the nation's economy, we need to have more people working in that sector in terms of extension officers and so on. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much to each and every one of the panelists. I conclude by saying that all the solutions that the panelists have given are not for the government to see. They are for the entrepreneurial eye to see. And I believe each and every one of us is able to identify a problem, is able to identify a gap, and is able to identify a question. We are the answers, we are the solutions, we are the ones to fill the gaps. So we will not wait for the government. I'm hoping that every young person that's seated here next year, and I'm also challenging ASNET, if it's possible to just have an absolute side event for both days for the youth. One panel is not enough. I mean, one panel, 2 hours is not enough when we are talking of a country that is, what do we call it? A young nation, yeah? So thank you very much to our panelists, and it's been very, very enriching and enlightening. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you so much, Waidera. And I really apologize. It's a heavy topic. However, we had to edit that way. Thank you. Thank you so much, Waidera. Good. I think we didn't clap for them properly. Yeah? And they were tackling a heavy subject on youth in agribusiness. Yet we, unfortunately, the last groups always somehow suffer. Like what Mary is going to go through now is also stress, duress. Mary, please start coming with your team. This is the last, and I think I'm looking for Mildred. And Mildred, I'll come to you soon after, because it's an announcement that we want to make. It's all about time. I know all these things you prepared. And as I say this, Mariam, please come down. We are now in the conclusive moments. I'm informed by also the organizers that we don't want to go very deep into this, but I would like Mariam to come over, please. And then as Mary is setting the stage with your team, you know, where are your members? Yes, Dr. Kangi, I think, was in this team. You can be settling down. And Mariam, 5 minutes to say something, and then I'll go to Mildred because we have to have a conversation. So you'll introduce yourself and do us what we have promised.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mariam Maina from Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency. We are a government agency, and as our name says, we push Kenya's exports in the international market and also nation branding. So I'm here on behalf of our CEO, who could not be with us this afternoon. And we were given a topic on surmounting barriers to grow Kenya's export. And looking at this and given the time that we have, I promised to use 5 minutes, which I think I will. If you'd like to know more about our organization, you can check out our website. So I'll not go through the services that we offer. So what is the current state of Kenyan products in international markets? So look at market presence. Kenyan products are known for quality, but lack strong brand recognition across the globe. Yes, we have very good products. We have very good stories about what we produce, but we lack that strong brand recognition, and that's why our products suffer in the international markets. So what are the challenges we face as a country? Of course, competition from global brands. There's also limited awareness and visibility in the new markets, and then logistical challenges. So my presentation, just one slide, will focus on how can we engage in strategies that will grow our Kenyan exports, especially looking at agricultural products. So as a nation, and as also as KEPROBA, we work with partners to highlight the strengths of our products. When we enter a supermarket and you're buying tea, you're buying coffee, there's that specific brand that you go for. And ask yourself, why do I choose this brand? So how are we as a country positioning our agricultural produce in the international markets? Do we understand what consumers... And as we look at all these innovations in agriculture, we come up with all these nice papers. We are having a very important discussion here where we are looking at innovations, research, and competitiveness in agriculture. We also need to ask ourselves at the end of to position our products. So as we look at ways of improving agriculture, let's also see how we are going to produce high quality products that are very flavorful, that have an advantage in the international markets, because as a country we have very good climate, we have good soil, our coffee is known for its attributes, our tea is known for its attributes, so how can we leverage on this? We also look at things like product packaging and design. On my presentation there's Go Nuts, and that's a made in Kenya adoptee. So if you go to a supermarket, will you pick that product? How are we presenting ourselves as a nation? Are we living to the standards that other products are living to? Am I producing a product that I will entice someone to go in the supermarket and pick? Then as a country, we have very great sustainable farming practices, which we need to highlight. We find that in USA, EU, some markets are very specific in terms of how that product was produced. Did anyone suffer? Last year, but when there was this sex for tea, and it was a BBC expose, and it had a really bad, it did damage to our tea sector. So what are these sustainable practices that we are engaging in as farmers, as researchers, and are we telling that story? Then I'll share this presentation with the MC to share with you because I'm really rushing. But something else, someone has spoken about competitive pricing. This is very important. Given the cost of farming, you find by the time our products are getting in the market, they're fetching high prices. But how can we beat our competition? How can we enhance our products in the global market? So I think I'll just finish there. But before I leave, it will be a disservice to my organization if I don't talk about Made in Kenya and made and grown in Kenya. So I please put up that slide so this is what we do. We have a Made in Kenya mark, which is a mark of quality, which we encourage our farmers, our producers, our packers to adopt. This is a free service, so you can check out our website, www.makeitkenya.go.ke, apply for it. If you are doing value addition, you can pick the Made in Kenya mark. If you're selling fresh produce, you can also pick the Grown in Kenya mark. So by the time you're exporting, if I'm on that shelf, I can tell this product is from Kenya. Thank you so much, and buy Kenya, build Kenya.
Thank you. I know that we are run out of time, so I'll try to be very strict on time. We also have a panelist that also had a few other. Our topic we have is on the driver for the economy, ensuring competitiveness and enabling business environment. So one of the things that the beauty part about is that we have talked about KEPROBA, and they are dealing with trade. And here we are talking about competitiveness. And also, on the other hand, they are also part of the people who are supposed to help us in enabling environment for our businesses to run. And so in this aspect, I want to just give an opening, very short, a few statements just to give what exactly is competitiveness and how does these competitors we are looking at against in the nexus of any business environment. And one of the things that I always open by saying is that in Kenya, we do not have competitive advantage. What we have is comparative advantage. Why do I say that? We'll have Dr. Kagi talking about it a little bit later. The reason being is that if we put Kenya against any other country in entry of any other in the global market, for sure we don't have a competitive advantage, but we have a comparative advantage. And the comparative advantage comes in when, because of the products that we have, especially in crops, okay? In tourism we have, in our financial, especially the innovation on M-Pesa. That we can talk about it. And in opening, there is a statement I will state. A nation is essentially an aggregation of industries. Its economic performance is determined by competitiveness of those industries, and the appropriate level of analysis should therefore be the industry. A nation industries are the integrated to be made up of those firms for whom the country is a home base. So for this, in actual sense, when we talk about competitiveness and we talk about enabling environment, we are bringing the two together. And we look at the open market, the closed market, and the semi-open market. So when we say closed market, we are looking at the market within the country. But when you're saying open market, we are talking about the export market out of the country. And so our competitiveness, it's against is for the global market, that is the open market. But when we talk about the competitiveness within the country, we are looking at the industries that are performing within that nation. So if we take one crop, like let's say for example tea, we are looking at the industry that are performing in that trade of tea. But then when we look at now the competitiveness, we'll be looking at external, where we have the global market, where Kenya is competing with a brand, or with Ethiopia, or competing with Rwanda, or competing with Nepal, or competing with Indonesia or India. That is what we are talking about here. So to bring us in this, we have a very good panel. And first and foremost, thank you for agreeing to be part of the panelists. And so we have Doreen Genga, policy, from PolicyLink, that is the country lead in PolicyLink. Then we also have Joyce Karanja, that is from the CEO, acting for STAC, Seed Trade Association of Kenya. Then we also have Ernest Muthomi, the CEO for Avocado Association of Kenya. We also have Charles Opio, the head of policy, Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. And then we have what we call GAIN. And the last but not least, we have Dr. Douglas Kangi, that is the State Department of Ministry of Agriculture, Director for Crops. And so in opening this, the discussion we'll have is, what is competitive? And to give us the scenario of competitiveness when we look at the Kenya aspect in crops or any other aspect is Doreen. And Doreen, tell us about what we have. This is called the Competitive Amendment Bill 2023. And within that aspect, in 2024, and in that aspect, tell us, when you talk about the enabling environment, what is this bill that is helping us to be able to become competitive out there? And what could there be impediments on that?
Okay, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be with you all here this afternoon. As she said, I'm with PolicyLink, and we basically partner with the Ministry of Agriculture to support and strengthen policy in engagement across different stakeholders and ensure it's inclusive. We're funded by the US government, and so we are players in this space as well. But coming back to the Competition Amendment Bill, this is a bill that was passed in May this year. And I'm curious just to do a quick check around the room and see how many of us are familiar with the changes in that amendment bill. By a show of hands. A quick poll. I don't see any hands. That's very interesting. It's not specific to the agriculture sector, but it is about business. And of course, us being in there, this meeting being organized by ASNET and us looking at agribusiness, it's important that we're aware of this change. So this bill, this amendment bill, basically looks to ensure that we minimize dominance in the different spaces. And so this definitely touches as well on the agriculture space as well, so that we don't have unfair trade practices. And so as we have different organizations, if we touch on fertilizer, regulations around how do the big players come into the country and what can they be able to get away with in terms of determining the playing field. And so there are rules and regulations around even mergers and acquisitions, so that, for instance, if Bayer and Syngenta wanted to merge and take over the Kenya space, then they would need to be, first there's a 14-day period for any mergers that need to be coming across. And so that gives opportunity for the different players to be able to request or, raise their concerns. Why is it important to have this in the space? Why is it important for us as a country to have this bill? And if it's not passed or if it's not enacted, what's the risk? The risk is that we have different, more powerful people setting the stage. Or for instance, if we borrow an example from the technology sector, we know that Safaricom has basically been the monopoly. And so if we continue with such trends in the agriculture space, then we'll be locking the farmers and the cooperatives and any other group that's coming to aggregate, to have a bigger say, to have a bigger share of the market. So the idea behind this bill is to level the playing field, to provide more power to the competition authority, to be able to have tools that they can use to hold companies more accountable. And I'm really making it very simple and very short, but I think when we segue into just thinking about agriculture trade and as a driver for the economy, we need to be thinking, how are we competitive locally and how are we competitive externally? And as I feel like also there's been a lot of people who have entered my presentation before I got in here, even just the lady who spoke just before this session, is the idea around making sure that we have products that can fetch the better prices. And we leverage on this bill and we leverage on other bills like the Crop Act. We leverage on other bills that we have that set the fair trade environment and an enabling environment for us to be able to ensure that trade is happening. On the global market, I think I'll tie it into the need for capacity to understand the requirements. So that, for instance, if it's trading of, say, meat in the international markets, that we understand what the requirements are in Kuwait, for example, which is one of the emerging markets for our meat. We understand what the American markets require. There was a time at the horticulture space, this was a big issue, and there were efforts, and there was the traceability system that was developed. So such efforts, building on those and continuing to innovate in those spaces, things like the warehouse receipting system, and leveraging on the technology, which, just to mention, it's also something that's been captured quite well in the bill, the amendment, the competition amendment bill, to cater for businesses that are digitally based, which of course, as we know, we are now able to trade even our agriculture products through digital platforms as well. I know we have a lot to say, so I'll pause there and leave space for networking and discussions after this.
Okay, thank you so much. Now moving to using that, the competitiveness, and she has talked about being competitive within the country, that is within the industry, within the country, and also the external. We'll ask Charles, now, if you're looking at competitiveness, there's one thing that we'll be pushing more of. Is it that the product, because we want really to conform to to what the product is. What maybe Kefis is telling us on when we are filling in and exporting. But one of the things that is not really talked about is nutrition when it comes to such kind of product. And we are talking about competitiveness and setting up the product when you already know what is within that product, that is it good for the consumption. And as much as we are looking at the food safety, the other thing that I think also is very key, which is not said, is silent, is nutrition. Give us a take on that.
Thank you so much for this chance. And as you heard, I'm Charles Opia. I work for GAIN, which is Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. And I'm glad to be part of this panel and really listening since morning. This is the time I'm hearing nutrition coming through. That's how it's treated largely. And really, it really shows the seriousness that we need to really have in terms of looking at nutrition, not just as, sometimes I call it, it's usually added as a smart add-on to food security, food and nutrition security. But then largely, if you look at the action, very significant steps to be able to achieve that, that hardly comes out. So I feel it must be one of those indispensable priorities that we need to have as part and parcel of food systems and all that. But then coming back to your question, is that nutrition is very important to really talk about. Because a lot of statistics actually have been shared, and you hear that globally we have more than 700 million people facing chronic hunger. And that is real. Even for our context, we also had figure about 1 to 5 Kenyans not able to access food and all this. But then I say that there's a twist to that. And what I mean here is that there's what we call the hidden hunger. And that is real, and nobody talks about it, or very few people talk about it. While we talk about 700 million people, globally we have about 3 billion people who are suffering what I call micronutrient deficiency, for instance. These are, they are not able to access minerals and vitamins in terms of the foods that they eat. And this is largely because of the issues like climate change that were talked about. So you find that a lot of the times we talk of increasing productivity and including, commercialization of different value chains, but then we hardly talk about the quality of the food we are producing. So it means that we really must be able to be very deliberate, and therefore even as we trade globally as part of the larger ecosystem, we must be able to understand the same way EU, for instance, treat their market very seriously because there are standards they have set. For instance, they will tell you this is what we will be able to accept in terms of food safety and even nutritional status of the food. I think not so much is happening even locally. So what we are saying is that as we trade or as we get involved in the business of food, let's be able to understand that a lot of the foods, especially because of the cereals and the staples that we import, for instance, a lot of them, we need to ensure that there is nutrition is considered. And one of the things that actually been promoted globally and agreed upon is fortification, for instance. If you are importing oils, you're importing wheat and every other thing, including rice that many countries, especially in West Africa, even in India, is kind of widely consumed, is to ensure that there is nutrition component, and therefore it's fortified with the vitamins and minerals. And why I'm saying that is because this is something that has been demonstrated to be costing our countries a lot, and Kenya particularly. I would say in 2019, there was a cost of hunger study that was done by the AU to look at the 54 member states just to understand what it means in terms of the GDP loss because of undernutrition. And we were losing 373.4 billion, that is about 6.9% of our GDP, being lost because we are not able to invest in nutrition. That is because our children are not mentally prepared. A lot of them are out of school, people get unwell, so productivity is very low, education is not doing very well. So putting all these costs together, you see what it means in terms of investing in nutrition. And therefore we are saying, let's be able to treat our businesses that in a way that if we want to make margins, for instance, in what we're doing, let's think of the quality of what we are selling. And with that also comes with additional resources. I mean, money, because when you do any value addition, like you sell biofortified crop, nutrient-rich crops, you get into fortification and all these improvements, you'll be able to fetch more money. And therefore, that is very critical. Same thing that I wanted also to say is also the rise in non-communicable diseases because of the consumption patterns, because the market is wide, and therefore there's also a lot more of our people now consuming a lot of products that are not locally produced, and most of which are also unhealthy foods. And therefore, we also need to look at the standards governing the foods that we import or consume. One, in terms of the levels of sugars, salt, trans fats, and all that. And these actually, if you go to those markets, like in the EU markets, they're very clear and they're clearly articulated the kind of standards that really needs to be adhered to when it comes to the kind of food they're consuming. And that's why they're managing all these issues that relates to diseases and all that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, there is an angle he has brought in on the food fortification. And so we are saying, as much as we are looking at competitiveness, is our product, what we are selling, competitive enough? Why do we have to add what we are adding on top for it to be also competitive in the market? For example, if we do a sunflower oil for cooking, why do they do the fortification and then maybe export it? We have taken also canola, palm oil. We even consume palm oil also from West Africa, even today. Yeah. So how is it coming in and then being fortified for us to be able to utilize that within our country? And one of the things that maybe that needs to be really thought about is that competitiveness is not only on the yield, where we are saying that we are asking the farmers that we want you to start thinking you have 1 hectare or 2 hectares of land that does 500 kilograms. Now we want you to move to 1 kilogram, or 1 ton, or you have 1 ton, because you have 2 acres, we want you to move to 2 ton. Yes, it is good because of the yield and the productivity, but the question is, what is it in that product? Is it good enough? Now remember, when you are accessing into the international market, they are looking at the food, the food intake, the recommended daily allowance of that food. So is it making an entry to their country? And some of the country are very specific on that. Now, looking at that, there is another angle into this in competitiveness. We are looking at competitiveness being also a way of trying to drive down some of the inefficiencies. And as we look at some of the inefficiencies that we are having, so for us to be able to be competitive, for industries to be able to be competitive, they have the state-of-art manufacturing, that one company that is producing oil with the other, that they need to be competitive by looking at their inefficiencies in whatever they are doing and making a better way to be able to have their products in a way that they can be to compete in the market. And so one of the things that, again, we are also looking at is the techniques that we use in that production. And so to give us that scenario, Ernest, when we talk about avocado, and in this perspective, we have seen that there is things to do with cost efficiencies. And if we can be able to demonstrate using avocado, how do we bring that product differentiation of that avocado from Kenya that is different from another avocado from another country, or from maybe the Rift Valley, which is maybe better from the one from maybe Central or from a different other area?
Thank you so much, Mary, and everyone. Good afternoon. Yeah, my name is Mudhomi Ernest. I am the CEO of the Avocado Society of Kenya, which is a membership association for growers, exporters, and other value chain players. We are here to make sure that Kenya achieves competitiveness. People enjoy the fruit from Kenya, unique fruit. I think that was talked about. And our farmers sustainably get returns from the investment into the avocado. Well, for avocado, some of the issues that can make us different from the others is really differentiating the avocado from Kenya and trying to stand out with our uniqueness. And I think someone mentioned that. Not just for avocado, but for these other crops that we produce. I will say, for instance, with the avocado, we are trying to make sure that we stand out as a country, making sure that our avocados are enjoyed, or people eating the avocados have a good eating experience. We have some challenges. I think everyone is aware. We have some people who want to export just anything, which is really not good for us. I mean, they will harvest avocados anytime they're being requested, irrespective of the maturity indices. Yeah, very serious. I mean, people want to enjoy a better avocado and come back, because when you go to those shelves in supermarkets outside the country, you find avocados from Kenya, from Mexico, from Chile, from all that. So we need to be very careful when we are shipping products out of this country. If we have to be sustainable as a country, if we have to attract more markets, if we have to attract more buying, then we need to make sure that our product has a good reputation as a result of the quality. Differentiation, actually, having that uniqueness can even get you a better market, a better price. Yeah? So it's very important that sometimes we just want to ship stuff or to just sell stuff, even locally, without minding what the sustainability of that. So differentiation is a very good strategy for market development and for sustainability into the future. So the reputation of our tea, the reputation of our coffee ensures that tomorrow people will continue coming back and demanding more of the produce from Kenya. If we don't do that, then we have buyers looking for alternatives. Of course, you are not the only ones in the marketplace. We have, for avocado, for instance, now we have our neighbors growing avocados, Tanzania, Uganda. So if they continue building a good reputation, and we don't build a good reputation, the crops department, and those are some of the people involved in inspections and certifications and all that. Those are some of the areas that we can ensure: inspections, certifications, complying with regulations. Of course, someone mentioned about regulations here and policy and the bills, but ensuring that we really are thinking forward into the future through having to mind that we are pushing in a product that tomorrow there will be a buying. Thank you.
And one of the things that I think that is you have brought in very well on the product differentiation is the issue of technology. And for you to be able to stand out well in the differentiation of your product and for sustainability and for competitiveness is technology. And the technology comes in through with the support of innovation. And so in this, we are looking at a competitiveness being driven by product differentiation, being driven by market, being driven by technology. And also you have brought in the issue of certification. And as we look at certification, this is helping us to improve our product, to be able to access a bigger market, a larger market, a higher market. So when you're looking at competitiveness, is looking for not only the same market that we have, but a higher market, so that our product is of a higher value that will be able to compete with other products in the market. And so in that nutshell, I think Director Dr. Kangi, maybe you can give us a little bit of, when you look at competitiveness, and with regard to certification. And here we also, maybe you can talk a little bit about it. We have some of the products being brought back because of the MRLs are too high, the minimum, the minimum levels of what we have. And sometimes you find that the product cannot enter into the market. Because of that, it's returned to us. And so with that aspect on certification, and as much as you bring in that perspective of competitiveness when with regard to certification, and our products meeting that minimum requirement that is needed for our entry point into the market. Also tell us, in ASTGS, the bigger document that guides agriculture until 2029, this document talks about competitiveness, talks about agroecology, talks about sustainability and environment. And some of these things are some of them that will affect and have an impact to the product at the end when it's being sold into the market. So just tell us a little bit about that.
My name is Douglas Kangi. I'm not Dr. Kangi. Let me correct that error. But I hope I'll be one soon. Let me start by saying that as a State Department at the national level, our main mandate is policy. And we are implementing many policies right now, but our overarching policy that we are implementing is Agriculture Sector Transformation Strategy, ASTGS. We have many. Yeah, I'm saying we have many more other policies that we are implementing, like Kenya Agriculture Extension Policy. We have a phytosanitary policy that was just launched the other day, which we hope it will streamline the issues of export market and compliance to international standards. So, but let me say that ASDGS is the overarching policy. It is of the overarching policy by the fact that it is value chain based. And it is addressing interventions at every node of the value chain. The ASTGS identifies 9 flagships, and each flagship belongs to a particular, for us to achieve all these flagships, we have to involve, they are multisectoral in nature. It's not the work of one State Department. It's a sector strategy. But let me go back. One of the major flagship to address export market is actually on establishment of value addition hubs. Because you realize that ASTGS has 3 outcome areas. One is actually to increase farmer incomes. Number 2 is to increase product output and the value add. And this is where mainly we are focusing on export market. Because you realize that in the country, we have more than 200 scheduled crops, which we are supposed to support their development as well as export market access. These are so many value chains. So what we have done as a department is that using the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, I can say that this one is reinforcing and helping us to accelerate the implementation of ASTGS. Because basically what I'm saying that we have realized as a country, we have market for everything. But the challenge is, in this country, we are a net importer. We are importing most of our produce. And the strategy is to change this situation so that by 2027, we can transform this country to become a net exporter. Now, based on that, we have identified key priority value chains. dealing with the, of 200 scheduled value chains is a tall order. Number one, we have tea, we have rice, we have maize, we have cotton, and of course we have another value chain in a different state department, that is on livestock. So our priority is to ensure that we have adequate production. Actually, the challenge we have in this country, we have nothing to export, except for horticulture. We have nothing to take out there to the market to compete with other products. So our focus is to ensure we increase both production in terms of yield and value addition. And our priority value chain is actually tea. Tea, the global market demand is saturated. We are producing more than the global demand. And currently, we are only exporting 1% of our tea product as value add. So our target is in the next 5 years, we value add at least 50% of our tea. And what our focus here is to establish some common user facilities. And we have already identified one in Kericho and one in Nairobi, so that we can export most of our products as value add, so that they can competitively compete with other products. So basically, ASTGS is focusing on value addition, but we have launched a phytosanitary policy sometimes early this year, and we hope that for a long time we didn't have a phytosanitary policy. We left it to KEPHIS. KEPHIS is mainly a regulatory organization, and the phytosanitary policy now allows for sensitization of our farmers to elevate their capacities so that they can understand the requirements for every country. And we believe that with the time, we'll be able to export most of our products competitively.
And it's very shocking to know that we only have tea as one. Now we pride ourselves to coffee. And it's a little bit shocking that we only have tea that we have to really export and become an entry point out there. And one of the things that I know that we have sat with the director for Tea Research Institute. If you go there, you'll find a lot of studies that have been done, value additions that have been done. And when we were talking with one of my colleagues, and we were just saying that, do you know we have tea oil? Do you know we have tea candy bar? Do you know we have tea hair shampoo and hair conditioners? There is a lot. But now, the commercialization of the products that we have researched on. And so, one of the things is, how much can we, if, as you're talking about now value addition, we can send some of these products that we have already done value addition and to the market, and I believe they can be able to access that. And because you have touched on the phytosanitary SPS, and because the SPS, because of the SPS, we have one of the things that has really affected or has can really be checked on that, and is something that is with regard to our seed. Okay, one of the things that I would state is especially what we are talking about, the maize and the peanut and etc. So if we come and talk about the phytosanitary, and it is affecting our seed, and apart just not from seed, this is the seed that we plant, and then again it will grow and also be consumed by people because of the product that we are taking. So Joyce, kindly tell us, we have quite a lot of counterfeit seeds, and some of the seeds that are not also, that are not really working well. And if we grow those counterfeit seed, the product that comes on, or the yield that we are talking about having to move from 1 ton to 5 ton or to 2 tons in the production of a hectare of land, then we will not be able to realize it. And so we will not be competitive in our markets. So how would you deal, and especially STAC, how is it dealing with these outrageous counterfeit seeds that are entering into the market, and also the very expensive seeds that are there within our market?
Wow. Thank you very much. My name is Joyce Karanja. I work for the Seed Trade Association of Kenya, STAC. STAC is the umbrella association of the seed companies registered with KEFIS to produce, market, and distribute certified seeds to our Kenyan farmers. So what we are doing regarding counterfeit seeds, we have a system with KEFIS, the regulator, where we have seed sticker labels, which our members, seed companies, affix to every seed packet, and farmers are supposed to scratch and send the number to 1393 for verification of the certified seed. When you send that number to 1393, you get information regarding the seed that you are purchasing, the validity, and the lot number. So farmers are able to verify the quality of the seeds, and we are encouraging our farmers to be doing this at the agro-dealer shop level. So when they do that, they report to, we are able to track the quality of seed they are buying, and KEFIS is the one that is mandated to regulate and to prosecute people who are dealing with fake seeds. Regarding the expensive seeds, we acknowledge that the seeds in the market are expensive, especially the vegetable seeds, and this is due to high cost of production. And what we are doing is we are engaging the government to consider removing some of these taxes, so that our farmers can have access to affordable seeds. And we are also engaging the government to open arable land for seed production. Director of crops here will bear me witness that seed production requires big parcels of lands because of isolation distances. So if we could get good arable lands for seed production, we would be able to supply seeds to our farmers at affordable prices, because what is happening currently, we are importing our seeds from our neighbors, especially Zambia. So you can imagine when, like, what is happening to our economy. It's like we are exporting labor to our neighbors, and when we have this produce coming back to us, it also becomes very expensive because of the taxes across the borders. So we are engaging government to see how we could have Kenya produce its own seeds for our local production and also to export, because we understand it's also in the interest of the government to have exports from Kenya to other countries. Thank you.
Okay. Now, so just to wrap up, as we end the session, we are looking at embracing sustainability, and we bring in, apart from competitiveness, we are also bringing in innovation and technology. Now, maybe just to, as we end, one of the things that I would wish to hear from each one of you is that Looking at now in technology and innovation, what is your take when it comes to competitiveness in 30 seconds, each one of you?
Okay, for me, I think I would put it in terms of a challenge, that we participate in the formulation of the policies which will create an environment where our businesses, our agriculture businesses, or the innovations that our youth bring to solve the problems that we are having in terms of value addition or competitiveness. So whether it's at county level or national level, let us be part of the process of formulating these policies. Let us give critiques whenever it's time to amend them, and let us be, as we are learning from Gen Zs, let's be very hungry for information so that we are not reactionary at the end when some of these laws have already been passed. And so we'll continue to be a part of a process that gets us to greater levels in terms of competitiveness.
Kangi?
I want to state that we have enough technologies and innovations. And maybe what is remaining is to take out those innovations and technologies out there to where the farmers are. But let me refer back to ASTGS. One of the flagship for ASTGS is research and innovation. And the focus is mainly on data and data collection and storage. And I want to say that this is an area that we have really achieved a milestone as a ministry, because in the ministry we have realized that we have many state corporations, we are working with many organizations, and all of these have their own data platforms. We have managed to establish a centralized data system called KIAMIS, Kenya Information Agriculture Management System. And in this system, we want to aggregate so that we can have a single source of data in this country. And what we are doing currently, we're in the process of developing a data sharing framework so that we are able to share with every stakeholder in this country, including private, public, whatever. Thank you.
Yes, Charles.
Thank you. Yeah, I think technology, we've been talking about it since we started this summit, and I just want to emphasize that it's the era of technology. And therefore, if we are to deal with the challenges that were being talked about earlier, including things like post-harvest losses, really, it's you get the technology right, you save us the challenge of post-harvest losses and the waste that we do get in many of our value chains. I look at even in terms of the margins, and people are earning better livelihoods because they reduce so much, especially for our last mile vendors that really also feed millions of us. I think to me technology is at the core of all that, and therefore it's very important for us to be able to scale up some of these technologies that are in place, a bit in cold chains. It could be getting better products out of the raw materials that we produce and being able to really fetch more. And finally, I just want to stress the issue of the data. It's very important. We need to encourage people to be using this data in terms of even having dashboards that really periodically tells us really how are we performing. In this country, I think we've also tried to partner with the ministry and just trying to see how the 47 counties are performing on different value chains, especially more from a nutrition angle and all that. You'll be surprised some of the counties that predominantly have always been known to be producers of certain crops. A few counties have come up very strongly. So while you will be looking so much, for instance, to Nyandarua, for instance, for potatoes, you discover that even West Pokot and many others are emerging as better, whatever. So I think it's for us to get informed. If you're a business person, you're looking for produce to sell and to get involved, you will always want to check how is the data performing, and therefore where could I get this at a better price and be able to optimize the outcome. So in terms of prices and all that. Thank you.
It's my turn, Asante. So what are we doing as the Avocado Society, I want to answer it that way, to make sure that people adopt these technologies and people are aware of what is available. I think everyone agrees with me that these things are available, data is available, technology is available. So at the Avocado Society of Kenya, we've realized that the versatility of the avocado is huge. I mean, even when you want to have the avocado, you can have it at dinner, you can have it as a smoothie or as a spread. But what are we really doing? I mean, we are exporting raw avocados. Everyone, when they talk about exporting, they think about exporting raw avocados. But we are exposing our members. We are exposing our members every year. I think I shared somewhere. We have an event which we call Avocado Africa, where for the last 4 years, we've been bringing people with innovations and technologies for our people to be aware, our members, our farmers, to be aware what is available in that space. What can I do with my avocado? And we are encouraging investment, for instance, on processing of avocados into puree, because it's a huge, huge market, which does not have to undergo those SPS regulations, I mean sanitary and phytosanitary issues. We can also keep them for long. So we expose people. We also celebrate. Like in December, every December we meet, we celebrate institutions and individuals who are doing some of these things, who are doing these innovations, who are doing these technologies. By doing that, we're bringing in more people into the space. And I want to commend ASNET. This forum is very important. Listening through for the last 2 days, you've heard about what people are doing. You brought in innovators into the room. You've brought people with technologies into the room. There is some investment. I mean, there is an expo there that we can see what people are doing in this space. So all of us getting to know what is happening. And of course, doing it is what is going to bring the change. Because we might continue saying we are not processing our tea, but we need to expose these technologies. We need to bring in investors who can do this, because when we do value add, when we bring in technologies, there is efficiency, there is reduced cost. We create job opportunities, even for the youth that we mentioned. So I just want to end there and say, at the Avocado Society, we are aware of what we need to do so that more investment is done, more jobs are created, more incomes are derived when we embrace technology and innovations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What we are doing as STAC, our seed companies are ensuring that they invest in research and development to come up with climate smart varieties that are suitable for different ecological zones, that are drought tolerant and pest tolerant, so that when our farmers uptake these varieties, they are able to increase their production. We are also working with the researchers to move technologies from shelves to farmers. There are so many technologies by our breeders, so we are scaling these varieties, we are multiplying these seed varieties, and ensuring that they are accessible to our farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, panelists. It's just to sum it up all, so that we take a little bit of, I'll take 1 minute, so that we can pick what can go into, what is our recommendation out of this competitiveness. One of the things that we are looking at is, as we turn around from comparative advantage to competitive advantage, we'll be looking at the migration strategy. So are we able to develop a migration strategy that will migrate us moving from our Kenyan industry market to the global market, to the regional market, to the EAC, COMESA, CES, that is the COMESA East Africa SADC region, and to intercontinental arena. So do we have a migration strategy? State Department of Agriculture. Or private sector, we have our KEPSA, we have CAM, we have ASNET. Do we have a migration strategy? I think that is one thing that we need to think through, and moving our products from competitive, turning around from competitive, comparative advantage to competitive advantage, being able to access the market. Then the second thing that we are also recommending, and we are thinking that is a good solution, is improving the product to go to the higher market. So if we were looking at maybe avocado going to China market, because it's making entry to China market, if we do the technology of puring, which other market can we access where maybe that kind of higher product, improving our product can be able to access that higher market, and then link it to evolutions of market, because market today is not the market tomorrow. What we used to sell in the early 20s, 2020, 2010, 2000 is not the same as the market of today. Today, if you, how many people are even taking tea? Very few of the Gen Z, I would say. The youth are taking tea. So if we were to look at what can we add our tea, I'm just giving an example with what is the real product our market is really working on, the Kenyan market. So if we look at tea, what can we take? We talk about iced tea. You go to, let me give an example, Java. You will see iced tea with cinnamon, iced tea with something. So how are we packaging our tea so that the tea can become a little bit better? And then at the same time also, the other thing that we are making also as a solution is the level of efficiency in terms of operations. So dealing with the cost inefficiencies and having a better transforming through the cost efficiencies, production efficiencies, and so on. And then one of the things that also I would bring in is what is in the SDGs, as Kangi has talked about. Now, our SDGs has so much, but one of the things that I realized that it has talked about economic hubs, regional economic hubs, and it's talking about the six regional economic hubs. And they are talking about the competitiveness of proposed products compared to non-Kenyans. So when we are talking about regional economic blocks, when you go to Western Kenya, when you go to Eastern Kenya, the coastal region, county ya Pwani, when you talk about do they have that regional economic block, and what kind of comparative advantage can we get some of the crops from the coastal region that are better, that can enter into a market out there, or can be coming out? We talk about cashew nut. Can we grow cashew nut only in coast, or can we take that and invest a lot into that so that we become competitive? If it is Western Kenya, we have quite a lot. We have the palm oil, we have the sunflower, we have the cotton. When we come to the products, the cotton seed and all that, what are we looking at, and what kind of market? Can we sell it to the regional market? Can we sell it to the continental market? Then again, the trade between the different regions. That again is one of the things that as I close, I will make a statement, is that we are looking at the mechanization technology, value addition technology as part of mobilization of our investments. So is the question is, again, is that we influence our state-of-art manufacturing, we influence product process innovation, then we'll be able to become very competitive within our industries in Kenya, and also competitive as a country, Kenya, the nation of Kenya, with other countries in the region, also in the global market. Thank you very much, and thank you for your indulgence. Sorry, not to break the protocol. Thank you very much, Doreen, and we have Kangi and Charles, Muthomi, and Joyce. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. Yeah.
And I want to thank you also, Mary, for the great discussion, though time pressure a bit, but really you have brought it out very. Let's give them a better hand clap. Reason being, this last moment is also not very easy. I think the space was a bit condensed, but you have done a wonderful job. Good, and thank you so much for all the people who presented. I was going around to seek for apology for the last group, and it was accepted. However, I'll ask one of the members of that group to say a sentence. But now, I want to make also the overall announcement that we are coming to the end. As people leave, please, a little bit of patience. We are in the closing session. So no more panels, no more presentations. We are now in the last moment, and I think this is very important that we close together. So 3 things will happen in this closure. 1, very good news about the launch of the University's Deans Forum. This will be done in a few moments, in a short way. And number 2, there will be the action points that are coming from a summit, led by Madame Jane Gige from ASNET, the Deputy Chair. She will be leading that session. And of course, the closure. Closing remarks from Dr. Bimal, the Chair of ASNET. The Chairman of ASNET will be doing the closing. So this is 3 points that we would like to ask you to be just kind, and it's going to be brief, all of them. And therefore, I would like to ask Jane to start falling down here. I think this will be the vantage position. Dr. Bimal also to join here so that we do the closure. And of course, Professor Miriam Kenywa will be leading that small session of lunch. And of course, Dr. Benjamin Danga, that you can come closer so that we can do this final part. And I want to I don't think I'm going to be in the podium again. I'm not sure as a moderator, but I'm the last one. So I will ask the team to come down so that we prepare, and it's going to be very brief. But before that, I would like Madame to stand up, please. And you'll say a sentence about the last group. It was very unfortunate that we didn't do the last panel, but I consulted with all of them and they said it's okay because time was running, but she has to say something about fisheries, which was not underlined very well. So please introduce yourself, say something about the last panel group, and we are really sorry about that.
Yes. Thank you very much. Last panel, I hope apologies accepted from the MC. We understand time has been of pressure. My name is Suzanne Jerry. In private sector in the fisheries subsector, which doesn't come out very loud and clear. We are talking agriculture, livestock, samaki pia iko. And fish is also represented at ASNET. I sit as a council member in ASNET. The last session was on finance, which is very critical to all that we're talking about. But let's just put this at the back of our minds and remember that finance is just not credit. Finance is more than credit. And going forward, we need to ensure that we also have insurance in finance, because we must mitigate the risks of climate change, among other things. So finance is key. Finance is not free. We need access to affordable finance, but we also need to change ourselves. Gen Z, youth, and anybody who's aspiring or is a producer. Please wear your agripreneur hat or your fishpreneur hat. Let's stop the dependency syndrome. It's not an issue of being given, it cannot be sustainable. So let's think beyond production, and even at production level, let's stop thinking about the quantity. Let's look at the quality. A lot has been talked about there, but quality. Let's not compromise quality for quantity, but at the end of the day, the nodes in the various value chain must be tightened so that there is connectivity from first mile to the last mile. And remember, who are you producing for? Consumer. Do you engage your consumer? Do you interact with the consumer? Or you just supply cut and paste? Food for thought, but thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Give a hard clap to, and I would really thank you for the remarks. And maybe a small request, humble request, is that for that group, whatever you intended to share, if it is summarized and shared with the documentation team so that it is also goes in record. Thank you so much. Now I will hand over the mic to Dr. Bimal to help in the next session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bwana MC. So we've slightly changed the program. Jane and I are going to launch the University Deans Forum in a second. Then Jane will handle the 10-point plan. And then finally we'll close it. So hopefully in the next 10-15 minutes we will close. I am requesting, if possible, from the ASNET side, can I have all the directors of ASNET just to come down, because really is a momentous event. We want to launch possibly the first ever forum. So can I have all of the, including you, Agatha, come down, please. All the directors. Wonderful. I think Paloma, you represent a consortium, please come. Sari, you represent UN, please come. Is Lee Karuri still here as a trustee? Any other trustees in the house? No. Are we all here? Jane is here. Come. All our directors here. We seem to have lost a few in the middle. Okay, I think that's good. Sari, are you coming? Sari represents UN, and Kyoko, you should be here, my friend. Oh, your chairman's here. Okay, good. All right, are we all represented here? And then I'm requesting Dr. Benjamin to invite his team along so that we can do it properly.
Thank you very much, Chairman. May I request all the deans of agriculture in our various universities to step forward. Please come over. All the deans, please just walk to this front space. All of us, the way we were the other side. Thank you very much for coming. Yeah, Professor Miriam, please join us.
I wanted to invite Miriam as well. Professor Miriam is the only person who's now in the middle of both of us. So you have to be here. Can I request media as well? I know we have some photographers. Are you all ready? We're about to launch something very interesting and very historic. Prof, you're going to stand next to me. You're my big sister. You sit here. You stand right next to me.
Professor Mbugu, please come.
All right. So let me quickly introduce what we're going to do today. My directors, I should be in front here, please. All right. So over the last maybe 6-8 weeks, we've been working with the university agriculture faculties and their deans because it was absolutely critical. We felt that we must bring academia together with private sector. In the few months of discussion which Professor Miriam and Dr. Benjamin were managing, this concept came of this summit, and the concept of this summit is of course about innovation and academia. So that has culminated in this conference, and from this conference we have culminated in creating probably the very first academia private sector forum, and I'm very, very proud that I think we have 20 universities and colleges with us today. These are all the deans. These are all the deans from all of the agriculture faculties and all these universities. If you allow me, I'm going to ask everyone to just say 10 seconds on who they are, which university they represent, so we all know how many people are here. And then I will ask my directors to quickly introduce themselves. And we're about to launch this incredible forum, which I hope will be one of the big take-backs from this last 2 days' events. The important thing to note in all of this is this will now create a very big bridge, Benjamin, between academia and private sector. And I don't think it's ever happened before in the history of this country. And I think this will be a game changer when it comes to youth and us and the future. So if you allow me, I know you're the chair of the group. If you allow me, can I ask your team to introduce them one by one, please?
Thank you very much. You can introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Joseph Hitimana, the Dean, Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources, University of Kabianga.
Professor Mkuzi Saha, Dean School of Agricultural Sciences and Agribusiness, Pwani University.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Matthews Kauti, Dean School of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Southeastern Kenya University, Seku.
My name is Stephen K. Wambugu, the immediate former dean, and I work at Chuka University.
I'm Krilukovian Wasike, the Dean School of Agriculture, Food Security and Environmental Sciences, Maseno University.
My name is Dr. Caleb Olweny, the former Dean, School of Agriculture and Food Sciences, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology. Currently, I'm the coordinator, Center for Environment, Agriculture and Food Security.
Dr. Nicholas Rob, Dean, School of Agriculture and Biotechnology, University of Eldoret.
Dr. Grace Abucheli, Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, Chuka University.
Dr. Ernest Saina, Dean, School of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Moi University.
Professor Arnold Opio, representing Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, Egerton University.
Dr. Samuel Dirango, Dean, School of Agriculture, University of Embu.
Dr. Poti Owili, Dean, School of Science and Applied Technology, Laikipia University.
Dr. Mwamburi Mcharo, Dean, School of Agriculture, Earth and Environmental Sciences, Taita Taveta University.
Dr. Mary Mushiri, representing Dean, the School of Agriculture and Biotechnology, Karatina University.
Professor Vitalis Ogema, Dean, School of Agriculture, Veterinary Sciences and Technology, Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology, Kakamega.
Isn't that amazing? We have all of the main universities. Yeah, I think we should clap for them. By the way, we have Minister of Agriculture here somewhere. Madam, you should be here. There was also somebody else from Minister of Agriculture in the panel. Director Kandi, is he still here? I think government should be here to witness this thing, isn't it? In the meantime, can I ask my board directors to quickly introduce themselves as well, please?
I'm Farney Kruger. I'm a farmer from Eldoret and chairman of the Cereal Growers Association.
You're part of us.
Yes, I'm Professor Miriam Kinywa, the chair of Technical and Advisory Group, Research, Innovation, and Value Chains.
And my big sister. Tell them.
And chairman's big sister.
I'm Sari Seppänen. I'd say a long-term member of ASNET and representing the United Nations, both in terms of the FAO and the UN Resident Coordinator's Office, the SDG Partnership Platform. Thank you.
My name is Jane Gige. I am the Vice Chairman of ASNET.
My name is Jane Musindi, the Chair of the Technical Advisory Group.
My name is Agatha Thuo. I'm the CEO of ASNET.
Anton Kioko, Chief Executive Officer, Cereal Growers Association.
Mudhomi Ernest, CEO, Avocado Society of Kenya. Thank you.
Paloma Fernandez, CEO of the Cereal Millers Association.
Shri, founder of Kuza Biashara and an ASNET board member.
Dr. Wilson Songa, Chair CAPEF ASNET and Director ASNET.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Can we have a round of applause for this incredible board? Ministry is here, government is in the house. You are now going to witness this thing, so just introduce yourselves as well, please.
I'm Rebecca Githaiga from the State Department for Agriculture, Agribusiness and Market Development. Thank you.
Good evening, Anna Mutinda, State Department for Cooperatives.
So you two people are very important. You're going to witness something historic. So when you go back to your ministries, you must tell them, ASNET and university are together now. Chairman, can you say a few words, and ask Professor to say a few words, and then we're going to launch our new banner, please.
the chairman and your entire board. Would like to thank you very much for this opportunity and also for the inclusion of all the deans in this forum. I think we really appreciate, we are very happy. This is the first time it is happening in Kenya's history. We would like to thank you because we know what it takes to do the training at the universities. I'm aware that during the opening ceremony, it was also graced by our Vice Chancellor, represented by Professor, the DVC for Academic, Professor Kung. But by and large, we are happy as academia because, as you are aware, the voice of academia and policy making is very important. It cannot be assumed, so it couldn't have come at the right time. I also want to assure you that the formation of this forum will improve the coordination of all the Kenyan universities and what we do and in linkage with the industry. We are also thankful for the Uplift project that brought us on board. And we really appreciate the work that they are doing to ensure that all those challenges that we are having at the universities can be sorted, especially through the linkages with the industry. We are also aware that there's some concerns about the skills gap, but we shall work tirelessly to ensure that all these are bridged. And all this is well done. We'll be able to, we'll be requesting for your support from time to time. And this is just but the beginning. We hope that you'll give us the necessary support to ensure that we improve quality of training in our universities. I thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much, indeed, Chairman. Professor Miriam?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Hamjambo tena. I feel both great and humbled. The baby has been born. It's a beautiful one. And interestingly, I happen to be, I guess, the midwife or the maid to look after the baby, or if you look at it in a better way, the godmother. And I really am excited. Maybe, Chair, if you allow me, we can show the 7 who have been selected to represent, because we can't have all the deans. They've chosen 7 of them. So maybe you can step forward, the 7 appointees to be in the lead team. So Chairman, that is the team that has been appointed. It traverses Kenya, Central, East, Southern East, Nyanza, Eastern, Coast, and Western. That's a very good mix. Yeah, so 2 of them are not here. We chose MKU to represent, not we, they chose MKU to represent private universities. And who is not here? Nairobi. And then Nairobi, I mean, it's just automatic that they are the home. So Nairobi University. So those are the 2 who are not here. Great team. We look forward. So Chairman, I'm humbled. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Professor. Winnie, we can move here and we can do can we do it from there? Maybe, yeah, let's do that there. Professor, Dr. Benjamin, you and I can stand here. Jane and Professor Miriam on that side. Jane, please. Jane, you're on my side. You're crossing the bridge. You're defecting. All right. Who can hold this? Agatha, are you okay? Yeah. Ready? All right, just hold this. Are we ready? Media, can we take a picture of this? Professor, we can take a picture. This is a historic day for all of us. Very historic. And we hope this is going to bridge a big gap. Wonderful. So can we take a big group picture? I don't know, Enoch, how do we do a big group picture? 2 lines. Okay. So, can we have some chairs or something? Ladies, good. Chairs and then people. Is that okay? This is historic. Yeah. Jane, and I have one more for Agatha. Agatha's here, please. Jane, you here? Ladies and gentlemen, I quickly want to hand over to Vice Chairperson Jane Giger. We are going to read out our 10-point plan, I think, after which we'll have a few words of closing and then we can all go home. Thank you. Just 15 more minutes for your patience, huh, please.
What a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to see that there were so many of us to witness that wonderful event. And it does really mark a milestone, both at the university's level and very much so at the level of the agriculture sector network. This is a dream come true, and I think we have been curating this dream and not being quite sure how to go about it, but it went on very smoothly and a very pleasing event. And I want to congratulate the deans, all the deans for having taken us this far, for trusting us with this very, very precious icon in the industry of agriculture. My job this evening is very simple, and I want to start off by saying that at this time, I think we're going through what I have learned over the years to be a VUCA situation, whereby, you know, VUCA here standing for, and I'm sure the deans will correct me where I'm wrong, but VUCA here looking at, we're going through a volatile situation in terms of development. I think we've been hearing that all along the whole 2 days. We're looking at how can we become more sustainable, how can we look after our ecosystems better, how can we feed better, how can we create jobs. We're going through a volatile situation, and this situation also happens to be, some of it, especially the climate change, happens to be unexpected. And even the bulge in the youth sector, I don't think we have been internalizing the numbers over the years. And so we are sort of like opening our eyes and seeing that we have this number of youth who we need to work with, who we need to bring forward so that they too can take their rightful place in the development of our country, in the development of themselves, and in developing their own ambitions. It also happens to be complex. I think the 2 days that we've spent here have really spelled the complexity of the issues that we're dealing with. And surprisingly, we haven't even been able to deal with all of them. We've had to cut our program short because they're just, they're complex, and complex issues require time to unbundle, time to understand exactly what's going on. They also happen to be ambiguous. Ambiguous in the sense that there is no one solution to a lot of the issues that have come up. And looking at what we have gone through these last 2 days, we basically are trying to look at the element of sustainability in agriculture, considering food security, considering competitiveness of agriculture industry, looking at how can we do better, do we collaborate, do we enhance our capacities, do we look at the element that go into production, the soil health, the ecology, and all of that. And as we do that, we also look at where are the opportunities. And one of the things that I still find a bit mesmerizing is the fact that out of our horticulture, only 5% of what we produce goes out for export. The 95% stays here with us, and part of it goes into the regional trade. But 5% to bring in the impact that horticulture has on our GDP, 5% of highly competitive an industry, highly capitalistic industry, requires a lot of skills, and if we can excel to the level we have in horticulture with only 5% exports, I think there is a lot of lessons that we need to look at. We also looked at the issues of gender, and the gender lens is a difficult one to unpack, but we seem to be making progress. And one wonders, as we look at the gender question and we look at inclusivity of women and youth, this woman keeps getting more and more responsibilities every time industries get together. More and more responsibilities at their place of work, and they get home and there really is no time for rest. They pick up the next vital responsibility that they have in society. But we also looked at how can we leverage technology, particularly in the area of digitization, and also looked at the market access ecosystem. How do we work with the demands, or how do we work with managing to overcome the barriers that stand in our way? And very finally, the element of the academia, research, and industry here that we've just been through, and to look at some of the key areas, some of the areas that are a problem. We've been looking at inputs, the different inputs that can come through research, the issues of the seed material and the breeders, the soil health, the pest manage, and that kind of stuff. So basically we're saying that we've talked about policies, and very often I ask myself, who actually creates policies and for who? If these policies are not initiated by the users or the implementers of policy, then who are they curated for? And the big question in the room then has been, what is the role of ASNET? And a resounding coordination has come through the different speeches. And because I'd like us to really pay attention to the 10 key points that have been drawn out of the discussions between yesterday and today, I want to request And this is the beauty of being a senior. I actually want to delegate that responsibility to a young lady who is very articulate and who is very ambitious and who's creating a space for herself in the business of agriculture, particularly the area of trade facilitation. And this is one person that ASNET can be proud of, because I think ASNET have played a big part in challenging Lydia. So I'm going to request Lydia to take us through these 10 points and to do so as quickly as possible so that we end this session very, very quickly. Lydia.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Gige. Yes. And just to appreciate your patience, so we'll run through. I'll request the media team to also project so that we turn from the invigorating conversations that have ensued right from yesterday up until this afternoon. So to begin with, we are looking at strengthening structured dialogues and partnerships in agriculture. This includes partnerships, inclusive partnerships to enhance governance in agriculture, linking research to value chain actors, and delivery of extension services. Number 2, creating an enabling policy environment. And this, we will pursue coherence policy framework, streamlining policies and processes to enhance trade facilitation, and strengthening the private sector institutional framework to enhance policy implementation. Action 3, investment in research. So there is advocacy for public sector funding for research. There is exploring the setup of endowment funds for universities. And finally, the private sector leadership role in research. Number 4, adaptive value chains and sustainability. So here we'll enhance enterprise operations through circularity, enhancing market access through value addition in a changing climate. Action number 5, gender and socially inclusive value chains. So here we will pursue and we'll enhance participation in decision-making processes, access to factors of production with ease and affordable rates, and leverage the number of the youth, the numbers of the youth demographic. Access to financing is action number 6. We will develop innovative financing solutions, de-risk the agriculture industry, public funding through subsidies, and finally explore opportunities for climate finance. 7, strengthen the extension function in agriculture. This will be to disseminate information on new technologies, create awareness on the changing policy landscape, facilitate market access, and finally, advocacy. Number 8, digitalization and technology for agriculture transformation. And here, we'll be seeking to leverage the human capacity to digitalize, that is the youth demographic, adoption of emerging technologies, and leverage technology to update the current data. Number 9, water for agriculture, transitioning from rain-fed to irrigated agriculture. So there'll be enhanced, this is to enhance production capacity, promote predictability of production, enhance access to water and support market access for food safety, and finally advocacy for policy processes that promote water conservation and utilized. ASNET Academia Partnership. This will involve the development of an implementation and engagement framework between ASNET and academia. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the 10 action point agenda coming from the 4th summit. And on my behalf and behalf of the rapporteuring team, I want to appreciate Jesse and Dreda in absentia for really supporting this process. We wouldn't have done it without them. Agriculture is a land of possibilities, and the last 2 days of conversation are testament to this. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Lydia and your team. I know you've been working on this with all your might. Well done. Congratulations. And I think if we have any responses to the 10 points, we could make a note and share it with ASNET. I think all of us have got the ASNET email. And these 10 points will be shared with you electronically. And perhaps at that point, then you can make any points that you would like to bring to our attention. Allow me to then pass this mic over to my chairman. And once again, because I will not be coming back here, thank you very much, everyone. Do have a brilliant week. And I look forward to a very active couple of years coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jane. Mine is very simple. First of all, I just wanted to quickly introduce, there are some directors of agriculture from the county government. Can I just ask them to stand to be recognized? I know there are several in the room, if they're still around. Just these, from county government, anybody from county government, administration or government, have they all left? Are they still around? Oh, there they are. Karibu sana, welcome. We want to work with county government through ASNET, and I hope that we can find some space and some ground to work with your teams at county level. But thank you very much for attending and supporting us. We appreciate that, sir. Thank you. I'm going to ask government to close the session. There is government in the house, the Director of Livestock from Ministry of Agriculture. Bwana Maina is here. Bwana Maina, come and say jambo to us and then officially close the session. Government is always important because you are our mothers and our fathers in all we do. My side, I just wanted to thank all of you for coming. It's been a wonderful 2 days of very active and interesting discussions, and new ideas have come forward. I hope that we, of course, will work through them. The 10-point plan is an important document. My big thanks to, of course, to you, to government. I want to thank Bwana Francis, who's been just this amazing MC Jackson. Can you please give him a big round of applause to Bwana Jackson? I don't know how you did it, Jackson. You managed to keep us all under control, and you've been a wonderful resource for us, and we want to thank you very much. I want to thank everybody in the IT section, all up there, the logistics and all that. Thank you very much indeed. I want to thank my team at ASNET, Winnie, Agatha, and Henry for being wonderful people. Agatha, take a big bow. All of you guys stand up and say well done to all of you. Well done, well done. I want to thank my directors and my trustees who've been here. I want to thank all the moderators who've been fabulous, all the speakers who've just been amazing. Thank you for your time. Really, it's been a wonderful 2 days, and I think we couldn't have asked for anything better. Winnie, did you stand up? I want you to stand up because you've just been the star of ASNET. Can we please recognize Winnie? Well done, well done, well done, Winnie. Bwana Government, I hand you to the mic. Please officially close us with your few words. Thank you, Bwana Maina. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good evening, members of ASNET, the academia, the departments represented. I have the pleasure to stand before you, and this was an ambush by ASNET to tell me to close this session. But before I close, I want to appreciate the bringing together of our academia and researchers with ASNET. And I'll tell you 3 good reasons. We are grappling in agriculture and have had issues of competitiveness. The competitiveness that we are looking for might not be for too long. I want to tell you, in the development of this industry, we are having the issue of synthetic biology. Synthetic biology, today we are printing food. You are aware of that. So the researchers in the house needs to tell us which one do we pick, run with. Also, we start participating in the industry so that we are participating in the global market, not becoming consumers of synthetic materials. Point number 2, we are signatories to several treaties, agreements, and protocols. I want to bring us ourselves to the Nagoya Protocol that gives us access to genetic resources and fair sharing of the utilization of these resources. Fair and equitable, meaning what we contribute, we also get equal share. Look at Kenya. We are a biodiverse country. If we are a biodiverse country, how are we taking the advantage of this? The crops we have, the weeds we have, they are medicinal to other people, so we can expand our array of crops by including research on all these plants that we have, all this biotechnology that we have, so that we are able now to equitably claim what is shared globally. Point number 3, in the competitiveness area that we are talking about, you know the WTO, where we do our negotiations. agriculture agreement has a green box, what we call the green box. Are we taking advantage of doing non-trade distorting special measures to support our agriculture so that we are able now to be competitive? Because the way to do it is to support our agriculture in that area. So this is why I'm saying I'm delighted to be participating in ASNET. I was here last year. And this one that is bringing the deans of faculties, this will bring our impetus to deal with the issues that will take us to the next level. I don't want to prolong my speech. It's only to appreciate the participation in this forum and the kind of discussion. When I had the 10 points, those are spot on. All the 10 points are spot on. And as government, as we said, in food security, government has little function without the private sector. And when we do that partnership and plan together, then we implement what we have agreed, then we are going places. Thank you so much. And for me, it is to wish you journey masses from wherever you came from after this session, and possibly now to do the official function that I was called here to do, to declare this workshop officially closed.
Thank you, Vanamaina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm happy you've come. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That's it, folks. Time to go home, spend time with your families. Thank you very much indeed, all of you. Thank you. And safe journey home. Thank you.
Excuse me, there is a lady here who says she has lost her phone from a charging point there. The way she has explained is like somebody took it